Ravens, you are listening to Raven's Ramblings, and I'm joined today by. I'm having a fangirl moment. You're gonna have to bear with me. I can't even speak. Listen to me. I can't even talk. I am joined by the amazing, the wonderful, the lady that has just got me giggling on a regular basis, and probably the reason I'm still on TikTok. The amazing Tanzin, also known as ChubbyMermaids. Hi, Tanzin. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, I'm. Thank you for coming on. I was sitting there going, I was sitting to my other half going, I'd love to get her on my podcast. I'd love to get her on my podcast. Just ask her. And I'm like, I remember putting a note going, I'd really like to have you on my podcast. And it was like, I don't know if you saw it because there was a lot of TikTok comments. And I thought, I'll message you on Instagram. It's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God, okay. So I will try not to fangirl too much. But so, we're actually going to record 2 podcasts, so this is not the one and only time you'll see Tanzin, which is awesome. But we're going to split it into 2. So we are going to talk part 1 on plus size in social media, because it seems to be, and it certainly was when I started in Instagram and started in YouTube, it was all very much the skinny alternatives, the Instagram goths. Look at me in my little mini skirt and big boots and high hair, and it's like, you're not real. It's kind of fake. So obviously you've made it on. I say you've made it. How many followers have you got on TikTok now?
I think is it 71,000?
That's a lot.
I think
I've got like 58.
That's a lot.
Considering I've got no videos, I think it's bloody amazing, to be honest. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do the bits. I'm not very good.
Yeah. It took me a while, I'll be honest. It took me a while to get the hang of it.
I think I'd be all right if somebody showed me, but because no one's ever shown me, I'm a very visual learner. So I think if somebody actually went, well, if you press this button, it does this, I think I didn't know what was going on. But yeah, so you've made it on TikTok. So what made you go into doing TikTok? What made you put yourself out there?
Well, I had no intention whatsoever. It was literally just jumping on a bandwagon. And I certainly had no intention of creating. I didn't even know how to create a platform or anything like that at all. The original reason I started filming or doing it was to show my artwork. And then I just had a week where I had like artistic block. So I just happened to do a video of like funny things people have said to me when I was a medical receptionist.
Right.
And then that kind of blew up a bit. And I think I got to like 4,000 followers of people sort of like connecting to that and like, oh yeah, being a receptionist is horrible, blah, blah, blah. And then there was a trend going around where people like using this sound, and then you were saying something that like made you cringe that you'd done in the past. And I said, like, thinking of that time I was a Slimmer World consultant, and then my inbox just went flooded, and people were like, oh my God, tell us about it, blah, 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 blah. And it just kind of snowballed from that point. So I went on, I was talking about like Slimmer World for ages. I did like the fat group skits, and then that slowly developed into like what I'm doing now. So it was all kind of like happy accident, really. It was no intention, but I didn't have a clue what I was doing.
How do your kids feel about having a social media cool mum?
I don't think they have a clue what's going on. My daughter thinks it's kind of cool, but she's only 7.
Okay.
And my son's only 4, so he's not got a blind bit of notice what's going on.
He's a boy, he doesn't know anything.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be that bothered anyway, to be honest, even if he was old enough to understand.
And how have other parents reacted to it?
How have who reacted to it?
The parents that you know, do you get any comments at the school gates or anything? This is not going well. What is going on? Hello.
Oh.
What's happening?
No idea. Why is the world against us? I can't even talk
No.
about it.
Okay, apparently it's connected to my main Wi-Fi now. So I mean, if I turn that off, it'll stop.
And I'm not moving in case.
Don't touch
It's
it.
just-
Don't touch it. Okay, so
moving.
apologies for that interlude. Yeah, what about at the school? I mean, do you get any comments from other parents or?
Well, the funny thing is, a lot of there's a lot of people at school, like the mums at school, used to be my members of my Slimming World group.
Oh God. Okay.
So it's quite the turnaround. So I did used to have a couple of them come up to me, you know, when I was doing Slimming World, but and then you have a couple of looks of like, "Hiya, all right." But no one's mentioned the social media thing. I know at least one person follows me, and our kids go to the same school, but no one's ever said anything yet.
Yes. Give it time.
Yeah.
So we brought up the Slimming World thing. I suppose we should really get that elephant, pardon the pun, elephant in the room out of the way. Sorry for anyone listening who's on Slimming World. Tell us about your journey with Slimming World and kind of what happened in a nutshell.
Oh, well, like it's pretty much similar to probably everyone else's. I joined, I quit, I rejoined. I think I rejoined after my daughter was born. I did well, lost, I think, a substantial amount of weight. And then that's when I can't remember, consultant, that's it. She was like, "Oh, you should do it, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Yeah, this is my chance to have a career." So I fell down that rabbit hole, which was probably one of the most miserable times of my life. It was so stressful. It's the worst job I've ever had. And I used to work in a pound shop, you know what I mean? And it was just horrific. It was so awful. And I just had enough. And I decided, I mean, I spent months trying to convince myself I was happy, and this is just what happens when you run a business, and which is really, it's nothing like running a business at all. If anything, it's more like a multi-level marketing.
I was going to say it's more of a pyramid scheme these days.
Yeah, it very much has the same sort of feel. And I'd had a miscarriage, and then I'd found out I was pregnant again, and we were worried that the stress was going to cause it. And I was just like, I can't do it. I'm miserable. And the second I handed my notice in, I was like a different person.
Really?
I felt released. I felt happy. But for the first like month or so after I quit, I was adamant I was going to go back. I was like, "Oh yeah, once I've had the baby, I'm going to go back, blah, blah, blah." And then it was only because a friend of mine, she'd had a memory come up on Facebook from 10 years ago that had said, "Oh, I'm off to Fat Group." And she was like, "Why am I still doing this 10 years later? Nothing's changed." And she was like, "No, I'm quitting. I'm not going back." And we actually met through going to the group together. And I was like, "Well, if she's quitting, I might quit," because the thought of counting sins again just honestly filled me with dread. I just couldn't bear to live like that.
I mean, I know many years ago, my mum went to Weight Watchers, and she was told by her doctor, you know, this is probably the best thing for you. And I've alluded in the podcast, you know, my mum doesn't eat enough in a day to keep a sparrow alive. She really doesn't.
Yeah.
And they suggested she went to Slimming World to try and lose some weight and learn about nutrition. And she said, I sat there in this circle while they all, a bit like Alcoholics Anonymous, all confessed on how much they eat. She said, I'm sitting there feeling physically sick that somebody had admitted they'd sat and ate a 24 slice gatto to themselves because they were bored. And she said the whole thought of looking at that gatto, she said just looking at it made me want to puke. And they were coming up with these lists of things that they wanted her to eat. Now, she doesn't eat rice and pasta, but that's what they wanted to fill her with. And she was gaining weight. And the portion sizes were 3 times the amount she normally eat. So she's sitting there gaining weight, and they asked her to leave. And it didn't felt. I mean,
it's not surprising in the slightest.
Yeah, mid to late 80s. So I don't feel then, even as a child myself, that it felt like a very positive thing for her to be involved in. So I'm guessing it's still the fat shaming of, but you pay for it.
Yeah, very much so. It's very much, you know, being fat is bad and being fat is unhealthy and being unhealthy is wrong and all this sort of mentality. And I mean, I never fitted in anyway because I don't know why I even did it, but I'm not the sort of person that's like, yeah, team, let's go. I'm just more like, yeah. And
I love
it's
you,
like,
want
you know, when,
exercise, crack on.
right. So like when they were going on holiday, I'd get kind of sort of not so much pulled aside, but it was kind of like spoken about because I would be like, well, you going on holiday, go and enjoy yourself. And they were like, no, 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 you can't tell your members that. You can't tell them to go and eat. So yeah, I never really fitted in anyway. And it always just felt a bit, oh, I don't know, it was just, you know, that kind of like MLM sort of gross sort of girl boss sort of thing. And that's just not me at all. So I was never gonna go high with it, but I think I just enjoyed the social aspect. And I enjoyed
maybe doing your own group that maybe wasn't, or would you consider now, maybe not a slimming group, but kind of a support group for people who are struggling? I mean, just even looking at your TikToks, you've got a lot of knowledge, albeit on the funny side, but you've got a lot of knowledge. You've been down that slimming world line. You've been an instructor. You've been there as a consumer, I suppose. Pardon the pun. Yeah. But have you ever thought about maybe doing a support group in your area and saying, you know, this is not about losing weight. This is about being positive in who we are and standing up for ourselves, maybe?
To be honest, I did. The thought has crossed my mind in the past, but it's just kind of like it's. I think it was the pressure behind it that I didn't enjoy. I'm very much a sort of do my own thing sort of person. Like my dream is to be like self-employed so I can work on my own sort of thing. So I think that kind of pressure was just it didn't sit right with me. And I just found that like being on the internet, you could get like reach more people.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like the people in my area, it was like, you know, people from abroad as well. And
I suppose when you're in that kind of MLM, I mean, it's all about, you know, gaining members and gaining money and making money for the person and having more members and then getting those members to find members. If you live in a town that's got 10,000 people, there's only so many fat people that are going to want to go. Yeah. And there's only so many fat people in the world who could potentially go. So where it's not like things like, obviously you've got like your body shop MLM and your unique makeup people,
which I also got myself involved in. I'd like to add,
but those are kind of returning products. But if you had somebody, say you had a group of 10 people and 2 of them were really successful and they went on and carried that slimming world thing into their lives and didn't need you anymore, they're never going to come back. So I don't see how they can run it in that kind of MLM way anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's the sort of idea of it, though, isn't it? The idea is that you, as a member, you never actually win. You're always going to lose because you're always going to regain that weight. You're always going to feel like you've not done enough. So it's just, as the member, it's just a repeat cycle. It's just for some people that cycle's a bit longer.
But it is almost like paying for body shaming.
Yeah, exactly that. When you get down to the bones of it, it's nothing to do with actually losing weight and keeping it off, or nothing to do with health. It's about someone making money off your insecurities, and they just feed into those insecurities because they want your money. And then, like you say, if they get to target and stay there, they're not going to get your money anymore.
True.
So it's just this awful, horrible circle.
Well, let's talk about brighter things. Let's talk about you on social media, because you are, I mean, you are, to me, you are the queen of the plus size people out there. I have a friend who does TikTok and she does a lot of outfits and stuff. But she's got a big like pageant following. So her market is very different. But what made you get into, you know, I mean, you just said about how you got into doing TikTok, but what made you want to carry on and just go, oh, do you know what? It was a bit of fun, but I'm done with it now. Is it an enjoyment thing? Is it the people you're helping?
Well, to be honest, it was kind of like a mixed bag, because I've really struggled with my mental health over the past couple of years. I ended up getting diagnosed with anxiety and depression, and I'm going through ADHD referral.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of stuff going on at home. Obviously, the pandemic was happening and stuff like that. And I just found that when I was making these videos, whether they were like silly ones or like serious ones, it was just like a moment of release of that. Like I wasn't thinking about all these like intrusive thoughts. I wasn't feeling dead low. I was focused on that. And then the more I kind of realized that, the more I started enjoying it. And then when I started getting like comments of other people who were like, oh yeah, I've got the same body type as you, or blah, 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 I was just like, oh, I wish I'd had that when I was, when I was younger, even in my 20s, I wish I'd had that.
Yeah.
And it's just like kind of, there's a whole world of people who we're all kind of in the same boat, but we all feel like we're on our own. So
it's not something that, I mean, I'm probably going to get hate for this comment, so please don't take it in the way it's coming across. I know, we went through, in the pandemic, we went through kind of the Black Lives Matter thing, which is an extremely important movement. And now we're seeing kind of the what I term the gender movement, where different genders are coming out, and it's great. And there's a big thing on TikTok I see with transgender, gender fluids, don't have an issue with any of it. But there's still, there seems to be a movement towards the plus size people now standing up for ourselves and going, do you know what, we're allowed to enjoy social media too.
Yeah.
But we seem to be the ones still getting hate. Do you find that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is with this whole sort of fat acceptance and fat revolution and body positivity is that I think a lot of anger comes towards us is because people have got it in their heads that the worst possible thing to be for their body would be to be fat. So when they see people like us who are comfortable and happy and telling other fat people to be comfortable and happy, it terrifies them to the core because they don't know sort of like any different. Like, well, no, but being fat's awful and you're miserable and you're this, that, the other. So it's a fear. It's like anger that's led by fear. And I think that's why we do get it so bad and so consistently. People just can't leave us alone. It's because they can't imagine it, that you can be happy and fat and healthy and fat and all the rest of it. And
the amount of comments you get about, oh, you must be unhealthy. No.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
All the time.
I've had to ring the doctor once in 3 years. 3 years, wow. Maybe 4 years. I've had to ring them once. Other than, like your normal smear tests and that kind of general MOT checkups, as I call them. But I've had to ring them once, and that was just about coming out of the pandemic and just going into shops and being generally, I can't cope with this amount of people, and just being a nervous wreck. So they've helped me with that, and it was literally one phone call, and it lasted 10 minutes, and they went, try these tablets and see how you get on, and a month later I had to ring them up and go yes or no, and it was literally that quick. But the amount of comments I get on, well, if you lost weight you wouldn't be so unhealthy. I'm not unhealthy. I'm not at the medical centre every 5 minutes. I'm not full of cold all the time. Allergies, yes, but not full of cold. I'm not ill. I'm not in bed. I'm not off work all the time. And the reason I have migraines is due to the fact I broke my back 17, 18 years ago. So it's a joint thing towards the back of my neck. It's not my weight that's causing it and losing weight. Actually, I did lose a load of weight. I lost about 6 or 7 stone. Actually, my back pain was worse because I had nothing to support the pain. So I had to put weight back on to not be in pain because I was. So you weren't in that pain. They get there. They're like, oh, but if you lost weight, it wouldn't be painful. I'm like, no, actually, because there's nothing to support my bones. Therefore, I need some of the weight. But this whole, oh, you're fat, you're unhealthy, it's an absolute myth. Absolute myth. The amount of times I'm diabetic as well, I'm like, no, I'm not.
Yeah,
unless you know more than my latest blood tests. No, I'm not.
It's just, it's frustrating, I think, for sort of like everyone involved, because even if I was ill, even if I was diabetic, or if I was in some sort of like anything, why does that mean I automatically get treated like a lesser being? Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's like some people, I've said this a million times, it's like health is such a lottery, and I'd consider myself so lucky. But some bodies just can't be healthy. So why are they demonized just because their bodies existed? It's so bad, and it makes me so angry. It's like putting this health, like, if you're a healthy person, that means you're the greatest person. No, it don't work like that. It's anyone can get ill, and it doesn't mean that you're less of a person. It's just you need to stop associating this sort of, fat is unhealthy, thin is, because that's not going to do anyone any favors. If anything, like most of us have learned, that sort of like journey to try and be thin and healthy has only made us worse
and more
certainly
miserable.
made me worse.
Yeah. It's one of those things. I mean, going back to the movements that have happened, we are trying to stamp out racism, we are trying to stamp out transphobia, but the more you get into the fat phobia thing, which is definitely a thing, the more it seems to cause. And I don't know why. I mean, it's almost like now you can't, I would probably get moaned at for using the wrong terms. So if you are listening and I do say something wrong, please, I'm just trying to explain where my head is at. But you can't, you're not allowed to turn somebody black anymore. Well, when I was a kid, you were allowed to call them black. And I had friends who were black who were proud to be called black. Now you have to call them people of colour. And now some people find people of colour offensive. So you kind of never know where you stand. But everybody seems to be wanting to make the effort to people please. And when you go down the gender trend thing, that's the wrong word, it's not a trend, the movement
revolution.
Yeah. But I've got friends who are transitioning, I know friends who have transitioned, I've got friends that have come out as non-binary. Doesn't bother to me, just tell me what your pronouns are and how you want to be known, and I'm cool with it. I don't care. But it does seem to be, but you're fat and you should lose weight. You're fat, you are not worthy. You are fat, you don't need to. And it's kind of where I want to go into later with the fashion thing. But certainly some of the videos you come out with where you said, the plus size is hidden at the back. Nobody ever wants to talk about it. It's like this unicorn that doesn't exist. That whole conversation about you can be larger and you can be healthy, and actually maybe it's your genetics and not what you're stuffing your face with. I mean, I went out yesterday with a friend of mine who's about the same size as me. We had lunch. I had a jacket potato with literally ham and salad for lunch. And I came home and had jacket potato with a bunch of salad and chicken. I don't see any of that that's unhealthy. The proportions weren't unhealthy. So, but if anyone sat and looked at me, they went, "No, you didn't. You had fried chicken and chips, didn't you? Both meals and cake." No, I didn't. I
literally had like a comment the other day where someone was like, it didn't even make sense to the video they were commenting on. They were like, "Oh, what? So you've ordered 3 pizzas instead of 4?" And I was like,
I saw that, and I'm
no.
like, what?
I was like, for one, I wasn't even talking about pizza. For 2, I did have a pizza that night as it happened, but I shared it because I can't even finish a full one. But it's like it's just a thing of making this assumption that all we do is eat, and it's like, no, I don't feel guilty about my food anymore. I flat out refuse to, because it led to too many years of being miserable. But I don't eat like a mammoth. I don't know how mammoths eat, to be honest. I assume a lot.
I remember putting on Instagram not long ago, and I tagged it as healthy dinner, because we have a new pizza place in town. And it's not like your Domino's where I know what goes into it, and your Pizza Hut that's all full of crap, basically. It's literally it was a gluten-free flatbread, which isn't particularly unhealthy. It had no sauce other than a little bit of garlic oil, because I'm allergic to tomatoes, so there's a lot I can't have. And then I literally piled it up with pineapple, mushroom, sweet corn, peppers. And then I got a side salad box and I dumped that on top as well. And I put it up, junk food night, but surprisingly healthy. And somebody put on there, "That's not healthy at all. What's under the salad? You could do better." And I'm like, if you actually took the bread away, I am eating salad with a dressing.
Yeah.
how is that unhealthy?
How is that bad?
And it was only a pizza about that big. It's not like it was, you know,
Yeah.
over my arse. It was a small one. And it's like, why is that? Because I'm eating it considered unhealthy. But if you took somebody like, I don't know, Naomi Campbell and stuck that in front of her, they'd be like, oh, don't eat that amount. It's too much for you.
Yeah. But
it wasn't an unhealthy meal in my eyes. It was no more than Slimming World or Weight Watchers would have given me. In fact, I think, isn't it right that all your salads and everything's free? You would only have to use the sins as the base and the sauce.
Yeah.
Basically, I had 2 sins in a meal, which is allowed.
A 2-sin meal, yeah.
Crazy. Obviously, you're part of the alternative community as well. I don't kind of see you as, you know, your standard little mousy brown hair and ponytail and bomber jacket. So do you get any hate for being plus size in that respect and being in the alternative community?
I haven't done personally, but there is always kind of that air of like, am I wanted in that sort of area because I'm not thin or I'm not blonde or I'm not, you know, down here, whatever. It's just kind of like, you know, when you see like alternative sort of websites or pages, I'm like, do I fit in here? Like aesthetically, maybe, but in terms of like body shape, it's not really something that I feel has opened up as much as it should have done.
No, because you
at
look
least
at
should have by
brands like
now.
Hillstar, they've still got that kind of hourglass look, or they're slightly straight down. They don't actually have, like I will admit to having the 3B belly, you know, the boobs, the upper belly, and the apron belly. We've all got it.
Yeah.
But they don't seem to use that type of body. I think the only company I have seen using it, and that's because it's the owners, is Topsy Curvy recently, and I reached out to them to chat to them. But even if you look at brands like ASOS, they're curvy girls. They're just big bummed or big boobs. They're not really big.
They're not what I'd consider a fat person.
No.
Or at least like it's just, I mean, I know it is this as well. Like even when I'm shopping, looking at places like, you know, like yours and everything, it's like the whole company is supposed to be for plus size clothes, yet the models they're using are very, very small in terms of fats.
Oh, the things I could divulge. I have a friend that worked for them, and we were actually talking. The girl I was out with yesterday, she was actually saying, I would love to come and do an expose video on them because they are horrendous. Their work ethics, the way they treat their staff, the things they expect out of them, some of the dodgy things that went on through the pandemic. And because they used to have Tess Holliday as a model.
Yes, I remember that.
And now their model that they use isn't even big enough to be considered plus size.
See, this is what I mean, and I kind of feel the same thing with like things that I love Killstar to the ends of the earth, but I do just kind of feel they're doing the absolute bare minimum in terms of the plus size community. Like a lot of the clothes I wouldn't bother buying because it's not that cheap, but also because I'd be very lucky if I could fit into them. I think I'd just be on the cusp of being able to fit into their largest plus size.
I'm on the cusp at the moment, but I have to be careful what I buy. There's certain things that I know won't fit me. You know, anything that doesn't have any stretch, forget it, because I'm not even going to be able to get into it, let alone be comfortable in it, even if it fitted. And I was literally, again, another conversation I was having yesterday. Some of their latest drops have been absolutely beautiful in the sort of aesthetic I like. When it comes to the plus size range, they're going, oh, well, you can have 1 or 2, but the rest of it we're keeping for the rest of us. And it's like, why is it so hard? But anyway, that's for our next topic of conversation.
We're drifting.
We always knew we were going to drift. So on the whole kind of social media, you're big on it, TikTok. Pardon God, there's a lot of puns coming out today. I'm really so, you know, you're big on TikTok. You've started putting your videos out on Instagram as well, which is really cool because I get to be on both platforms. I go, oh, she's done some more because I forget about TikTok. But what sort of other, we've spoken about kind of the food comments, but what sort of other kind of troll comments do you get?
Well, you get obviously all your standards one, like, you know, I'm gonna have a heart attack, stop eating, try just losing weight, then you'll fit into better clothes,
Oh, I love
all
that
that
one
kind of
because you can
thing.
just snap your fingers and be a size 10. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, well, that's what got me in this mess in the first place. So I'm not doing that again. I had one comment, like, it was it was just before Christmas, I think, but the video they commented on was from back in July, where they were like, oh, it looks like you can't move your arms there. And I was like, what do you want me to do with my arms? I was like, I clearly can move them. Why are you know? So it tends to be like things like that. I'd say I'm quite fortunate. I've never had anything like super horrific. But I don't know. It's the same thing over and over again.
And does it play on your mind that you know you're kind of waiting for that one really bad comment to come in that's just going to go, sorry, I'm not doing it anymore. That's it. I'm done.
Not so much anymore. It did, I think, in the beginning. And it was always that kind of like little nervous feeling about when I was posting something like, oh, you know, is this going to rub people up the wrong way? But I think the more kind of positive stuff I've had and the more sort of comments I've had with people like, oh, you know, I kind of like get this, I'm the same, blah, blah, blah. That just kind of, that edges me on to do it more anyway. And I think, well, if anyone does leave like a horrible comment, they're doing that because they're insecure about their own body. It's got nothing to do with me. They've just seen me as a fat woman and been like, well, I feel a bit threatened by this because she's bigger than me, but I don't feel good in my body. So it's knowing where that comes from.
Do you check the profiles of the people that are commenting on you?
Absolutely, I do.
And it always find it's either a creepy bloke who clearly has no friends, or it's somebody who is what I term on the cusp. So they probably could still shop in Primark, but they probably could shop in yours clothing on the lower end as well. That kind of best of both worlds, who for some reason find you a massive problem in their life. And I don't know whether that's their own insecurities coming out because maybe they're their biggest person in their group of friends, or whether it's because, you know, we've all grown up with bullying and the internet is just the next stage of that. But what do you find when you're checking profiles of people?
Do you know what? More often than not, well, every now and again, I'll just look on, and then I always look on who they're following, and eventually you'll just see someone that says Slim World, and I'm like, there you are, that's it, that's the one.
That's why.
That's why you're mad.
And how do you? I mean, obviously, being on the internet, we don't really want to offend people, and I try to be very careful with what I say. But you know, there's going to be times I'm going to say something and I'm going to slip up and say something stupid. And I feel that, you know, I kind of almost apologize before I know I'm going to say something bad. But when these people come at you, and I've seen a couple of like the duets that have happened where you kind of screenshotted their comments and put, have they then responded to your response? Has there been that kind of back and forth on something?
Sometimes they have. Sometimes it has got very sort of bitter and very intense. And
really?
Yeah, and I've ended up spending the whole day arguing in the comments with the person, and it's more the fact I'm annoyed that they've said something about me that's not true.
Yeah,
that it irritates me. I cannot stand lying. I hate it, and I hate this thing of like people have made an assumption about me when they don't know me, and then they've ran with it. But I've just found, I mean, it's a long-standing thing in my group of friends. I'm very opinionated, and I'm happy to tell people my opinion. And I'm not afraid to like tell people off if I feel they need it. But I never want to like cross the line. So even if I'm going full throttle at someone, I'm not going to start having a pop at their looks or things like that. I'd be just as bad as them. But yeah, I do. I've had to dial it back a bit, I think, on social media, just because it ends up sort of running your life a bit.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spend days stressed out and upset about it. I want to have a laugh. And like I said before, I'm pretty much 99% convinced that anyone who's left like a fatphobic comment it's because they're insecure about their own body. So I've kind of been a bit like sarky back to her, and then I've just put at the end, I hope you do find peace with your own body one day, and just left it. And 9 times out of 10, once I've said that, disappeared, don't say nothing.
Really?
I've hit the nail on the head with it. And I know that's what they're feeling. I know that deep down, they're so insecure about their own body. They're so mad that I'm not insecure about mine anymore.
And I think that's
that's
the thing.
where it comes from.
If you took somebody who's maybe a size 4 or a size 6 and they're like, oh, look at me, I'm secure in my body, I can wear a bikini. You'll get all that, oh, you look amazing, I wish I looked like you look fabulous, oh my God, you're amazing, what do you eat, how many times do you work out? And then you'll have someone like yourself or I or Cora, what's her handle on YouTube, used to be Vintage or Tacky, would wear a bikini in public, and it's like, why are you wearing that? You should be covering up. And it's like, why? We're bodies as well. We're allowed, as I said in one of my previous podcasts, everybody's a bikini body if you shove a bikini on it. It's as long as you get the right one for your body shape. I couldn't
and you're comfortable.
Going out in one of those little triangle things and a string, nothing Kylie Jenner thought out recently. Might get that on one ankle, but it's about how we present ourselves. And I just find there is this bullying that seems to have gone from school, that you think, I know that kids growing up who have gone through a hard time for being a different ethnicity or religion or gender or sexual identity have had problems. But like I said, you've got these movements now that people are more aware, they kind of watch what they're saying, they dial it back a bit. But we're still fat and we're still fair game. And it's really frustrating because in your heart, it's because those people are genuinely not happy with themselves. And when they when they pick on the gay kid at school, it's because they're terrified that it's something they don't know, and they look at the fat person, but they keep it on into adulthood. And I don't know why. I don't know what this mentality is, that you can't just deal with it, grow up and move on, and just realize that if we were all the same, we'd be really boring.
And I don't know why you'd want to spread that sort, like, I spent a good 20 years hating my body, and then never once felt it appropriate to go up to someone else and make them feel less because I felt bad. And I would never wish that sort of self-loathing on anyone, because it is horrible. It's it's life controlling, it's soul destroying, it's horrible. So I don't get that kind of like.
Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say, I don't kind of get like why you'd want to spread that. Like, why would you want someone else to feel like that? Because it is awful.
Yeah, I think the worst I've ever got like that is tweaking people's outfits. I love to watch, and I'll sit there and go, if that skirt was a bit shorter, you wouldn't look drowned in it. Or actually, if you just put a belt round that, love, it wouldn't look like you were wearing a sack, and you get a waistline. And I kind of want to go up and just go, can I just change that on you, please? But it's not about whether they're big or small or whatever. It's literally about the outfit and how it would look better on them. And that's kind of the worst thing I've ever said, or I've seen something gone, that was a choice. But I
think we're all guilty of that as well.
Why are you wearing bright pink, love? It's really not your colour. I'm not going to tell them that. But it's whatever they want to wear. If that's how they want to be, then good luck to them. Let them get on with it. I genuinely don't get this continuous fat phobia that goes into adulthood, and I feel now with the internet, it's almost worse because we are exposed worldwide, and
absolutely
don't know. I mean, I looked at my podcast stats the other day. I've got a follower in Japan. So if my podcast is reaching Japan, where the hell is my YouTube channel reaching? Because that's got a lot more. And it's like, you don't know who's looking. You don't know.
No, you really don't.
And it kind of is that whole unknown. So you have to stay very positive with it. But again, you don't know, or it doesn't feel like they take anybody who's over maybe a size 12 seriously at all. And what you were saying about the alternative thing, I've never been outed or don't use the term bullied, but I've never had anyone in the alternative community make a comment.
Yeah.
But I will say I'm not involved.
Yeah, you can feel it in the air.
It's almost like an afterthought sometimes kind of feeling. I don't care. I'm nearly 45. I'm past the point of caring. I do this for me. I don't do it for anyone else. And I'm not the most social of people anyway. But there does seem to be this cliquey, you can't play with us attitude sometimes if you're on a bigger scale, unless there's something about you that they all want to jump on because you make something, or you're very, very popular, or there's something that
exactly
you know what I mean,
there's something there for them.
Cool. So what would you say is your worst comment that you've received, the one that's made you gone, if you were stood next to me, mate, I'd punch you? What's been your worst one?
Well, the thing is, like, because I think I've got ADHD, I tend to forget a lot of things quite quickly. So I guess it's why I'm kind of like not bothered a lot of time, because I will forget it after a while. I don't know, to be honest, because like I say, they're all the same sort of thing, and I know none of them are true. I know that I'm not unhealthy, and even if I wasn't healthy, that doesn't devalue me as a person. I know that I'm not fat because I overeat. Oh, excuse me. So I know all these things aren't true. So I don't know. They all kind of just like pale into the same sort of category after a while, because it's all the same thing. But
it's like there's no original thought behind the comment.
Yeah, literally. Oh, sorry, I'm going to cough. But it's like that. It's repetitive. It all kind of. It's just the same sort of comment over and over again, just in different variations. And 9 times out of 10, once I've dealt with the situation, I forget about it anyway.
And have you had any creepy ones?
Yes.
Thought, no, not even going to respond.
Well, I had a creepy. I had one. This is when I was doing the Slimming World stuff. And I saw that this guy had stitched my video, and the video was intended to be stitched. I think I said something like, "What's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten while on Slimming World?" Right. So brace yourself for this. I saw it was a guy, which instantly is a red flag. I was like, oh. And then on the stitch, so it's like I said, "What's the weirdest thing you've ever said on? What's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten on Slimming World?" It cut to here. And he said, "My wife." But wait, it gets worse, right? So I was like, oh, that's gross. I don't want that. Get away. I looked on his page and his wife's dead. She passed away. She was ill. And I was like, would she be happy that that's how you talk about it on social media? Like, so
you'll get grief in different ways, but
yeah, and I was like, come on, man, have a little bit of respect. And then it ended up getting deleted. I was like, oh, that was so, no, that was creepy. I didn't like that. And then someone messaged me on Instagram the other day and was like, oh, so I've been stalking your page. And I was like, if you're a guy and you message a woman on social media, I would avoid using the word stalking. Because it just, and it was all this, oh, you're really pretty, but I've been stalking your page. I was like, no, I'm all right, thanks. No, thank you. But to be fair, I think
I have had the, do you have an OnlyFans?
Oh, I had that the other day. Like, what's your OnlyFans prices? And I was like, you can't afford them, mate.
Believe me, I'm rich if they were. No, I've had an OnlyFans, and I've had a would I do specific custom fetish videos.
Ooh.
And I'm not going to say what it was for, but it was kind of weird. I'll tell you after, because otherwise the person will know who it was, and it was a bit weird.
Removed.
But yeah, it was very odd, and it was one of those, you keep asking me and I've not responded to any of it. I've deleted
like
the
take the
message.
hint.
I'm sure you can see I've deleted the message on Instagram because it doesn't exist anymore. So why do you keep asking me the same question? Because it's weird. No. And the thing is, I've been a bit clever with my social media. So I've claimed TikTok, I've claimed Discord, I've claimed Twitch, I have claimed OnlyFans, only because then I know that it can't be used and set against my profile. Something does
That's
come up, I know it's
clever.
mine. So
I might do that just to cover that.
Every time there's a new kind of platform, I claim it and I will just set it up with my username and then just delete the app and never use it, because then at least I know it's mine and it can't be used as, oh yeah, this is linked to this YouTube channel. No, it's not. No, it's not.
No, you're clever.
It's worth doing. Go and claim your username if someone starts doing something dodgy.
Don't let anyone be surprised if an OnlyFans pops up later. Nothing can happen on it.
It's me eating cake. Oh, don't. I'm sure there's fetishes for that. Can you imagine? No, because I did actually think, because I used to do, when I did my Facebook lives before I did kind of like YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
I did do like what I termed a plus size clinic, which was, if you have a plus size fashion question, let me know. And the first time it was really successful, and the second time it was not quite as good. So I thought about setting up like a Discord chat. But it's just time at the moment. We work and everything else. I don't have the time to kind of monitor it, or
that's the thing, isn't it?
Things and make sure people are behaving. So I wish I did, because I think it'd be quite good for people to up and
just have that space, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's really weird because you get people commenting of, I wish I had this support growing up, or this, that, and the other, but there doesn't seem to be the support now. It's very an isolating thing to be overweight. I look at girls in town in their groups and think, I was that fat kid once. And I know how you feel when you go, all your friends are shopping in Topshop and Primark and you're buying accessories because nothing fits. And you come home with more hairbands than you know what to do with. So I feel like there should be something there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know whether I'm too old. I mean, I'm going to be 45 this year. Am I too old to maybe get a group?
No, I don't think so. No, you're never too old. I don't think. Because there's always going to be people who are going to appreciate it. Do you know what I mean? There's always going to be a generation of people who feel like the same that we do.
Well, I'll get a bit more time. Maybe that's something we can do then. You, myself, get a couple of other people who are in the plus size area, and get them on and get them onto like a group chat and come and chat with us and throw your questions out to everyone else. Maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe we all stick together. Right, I think we're going to call this one a day. Thank you ever so much for coming on. Can't wait to have you on again. And as I say to all my viewers out there, please go and follow Tamsin. All her links will be down below. Her TikTok is amazing. We will be doing another one on her fashion TikToks coming up very soon. And as always, my wonderful viewers and listeners, just do you.